Welcome back to Passion About Music Education, a channel dedicated to you, the music educator. And I'm Rachel Hardman, and today we're going to talk about language and how that can have an impact on your mindset and your well-being. We always want to be our healthiest, happiest version for yourself, at home, and also in the workplace. And how does language impact how we feel without us even realizing it? You know, being a teacher, that when you spend most of your day in the classroom, you are giving instructions, you are giving commands. It's very much, yes, you can do that now. No, stop. Don't talk while other people are talking. You're giving a lot of direct language commands to your students, and unfortunately that trickles into the conversations between adult to adult. And you must have experienced that yourself, where you've walked away from a colleague and you've gone, I felt like I was being spoken to like a child, because we so have this demand language within our vocabulary within education system. The problem with the demand language is it can often create barriers of communication, and it can also make us feel less connected within the workplace, either with our students and that student relationship that you're trying to build with your students in the classroom, or even with your colleagues and with your peers, your admin that you work with on a day-to-day basis. So what really is happening, and how is language impacting your mindset? Do you find yourself walking into the staff room and sort of being triggered by the fact that yet again the conversation has that negative tone, that people are moaning and complaining and griping, and you go, I just came in here for a coffee, I just want a moment to have a bit of humour, and all you hear is that sort of negative language going on? Or do you find that actually you're that person? We've all been it at times, where we've gone into the staff room, or we've sort of bumped into a colleague who's super cheerful, super happy, and they go, how's your day going? And it's like your barrage of negative language, all the emotions, everything coming out. And of course there's nothing really wrong with that. We all need a safe place to talk about the real issues about being a teacher every day. But the danger with that is it absorbs into our everyday language, our everyday mindset, so that we, find that we're battling for music, or we're fighting to, see the value of music education. We are demanding and trying to ensure that our subject stays on the curriculum. We want to ensure that our subject is valued as equally as the other subjects within the curriculum. It's really important. So we're always having to kind of almost fight to keep it in there. And it's such a shame that we are in that situation where we're using such strong, aggressive, negative language around our subject and within education, because it does absorb into your daily life, and you will find, without realizing it, it has had an impact on your mindset. That negative language, that negative connotations of how you feel and what's being said really does seep in, not just within the workplace, but it's really easy to bring that back into your home life and into your friendships or your relationships. So what do we do to avoid that? If you're finding yourself in an education culture, or even in a culture in your department, or just how you feel personally at this moment in time, watch for those triggers, watch for that negative language seeping into not only your vocabulary but everybody else's. Think about it when you read those emails, the ones that really sort of gripe. You open it and you instantly want to send that aggressive email back and go, hey, you can't say that, that's wrong, you're out of order. It's focusing on the negative, and it's making sure that we create a distance from the emotion. We create a space to respond rather than react, because when we're in a negative mindset, when we are absorbed in that sort of negative culture or sort of negativity, then it's easy for us to fire back in that mindset, which of course breaks down all our connections. If you are generally a positive person, but you are working in an environment that isn't particularly positive, and we often find ourselves in that, and you might be finding yourself in that situation right this minute, then one of the ways that you can do that is to be really aware of not absorbing other people's emotions and keeping that separation and a sort of a boundary in your own frame. And of course, it's not necessarily being disrespectful and ignoring people, because I wouldn't suggest that at all. It's really being aware that there are their problems, their issues, and you do not have to absorb them, you do not have to fix them. You can be understanding, compassionate and caring, but you do not have to absorb that negativity into how you feel, because it will change your mindset and how you are turning up for the rest of the day. That when we're in that negative mindset, which every teacher's been through, you're not alone if you're in this place at the moment, it creeps into the classroom. So we find that we're more tired and we're less patient with students, and that we, you know, might snap more than we wanted to, and that's not the teachers that we want to be. So if you're finding yourself, you know, snapping at people, or you're finding yourself less patient, then it is probably down to that negative mindset and being exposed to it constantly. It might be something that's coming from home, and you're having, you know, we all have issues outside of school and our own lives to lead, and that might be seeping in as well. So my advice for you, if you are in this place, and please know that you're not alone. We've all been through those ups and downs of teaching, and, you know, positivity and negativity. That the first thing to do is be aware that that's what's happening with you. Realise and capture that negative mindset and those negative words coming through, that judgment. I mean, education is a lot of judgment. We are judging our students, we are judging our work, we are evaluating all the time, and yes, we always want to come from a place of positivity, but we are judging constantly. So there's a lot of judgment that will go through your mind. So, you know, again, be aware how much judgment you're making. Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it making you turn up in the best version of yourself? Are you using language in your conversations and your emails on that negative spectrum of language? And if so, can you flip it? Can you stop it? Can you change it? Can you actually reduce that anger terms and words? Can you go from hate, I hate doing this, to, oh, it's a bit of a bother? Because as soon as you start to soften it, you're still frustrated by it, but the feeling that goes within you and how you internalize it and the emotions that you create become much softer, because ultimately when you're in this situation, you're just harming yourself and how you feel. So really be aware of that language, how it impacts, how it's impacting how you feel from others, but also how you are also pushing language back out. And I promise, if you do that for 7 to 14 days and be really aware of it, you will notice that suddenly you start to feel differently, because you're capturing and noticing and observing that negative mindset much quicker, and you'll be stopping it. You won't be reacting, you'll be responding a lot more. We've all been in those negative places, in that sort of anxiety, frustration, depression. We've all had those moments within education. It is really normal to have those moments. Is it fun? Not at all. But you're not alone. So if you at this moment in time are feeling stressed, frustrated, really think about the language that you're absorbing and the language of others, and create those healthy boundaries. Create that healthy self-care, create that healthy moments during the day where you do something for you, just to release some of that stress and that frustration, so that you can turn up again in a much more positive way. We talk all the time about glass being half full, or filling your own cup, and it all sounds so very cliche, but actually that is genuinely what's happening. Is you are working on, you know, an empty cup. You're exhausted. And when you're exhausted, it's easy to fall into that negative mindset. So again, really be aware of keeping your frame, keeping your boundaries separate from others, so that you're not absorbing every reaction into you, which is very hard to do in teaching, particularly if that negativity is coming from children who are in pain, because you are somebody who cares about children, somebody who cares about education, and therefore if you have a child who's upset or in pain, then your natural instinct, of course, is to care for them. And we have to be very careful that we're not always absorbing all that energy into our own personality, our own life, because it does impact too. And if you felt this video was helpful to you, then please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm Rachel Hardman, and this is Passionate About Music Education.